Hello guys, what's up guys? Today we're going to be reacting to her story because y'all keep asking me to do her story. So let's get to the video. Okay.
The lunch lady dropped a tray of brain spaghetti in front of me. Gray meatballs back in a puddle of orange grease. It was so disgusting, I couldn't take eating the cafeteria lunch anymore. Under the table, I opened up DoorDash and ordered orange chicken from the Panda Express. My friend beside me saw what I was doing and smiled. You're right, I'd rather break the rules and be big back and order food from DoorDash than get food poisoning from this cafeteria. On her phone, I saw her ordering nacho fries from Taco Bell. Soon, every student in the cafeteria was secretly ordering food. No one cared about the rules anymore. A few minutes later, I walked to the front gate where the delivery driver was already waiting on the sidewalk through the bars. But the principal showed up out of nowhere, his arms folded while smiling. You're the fourth student to try and do this week. He reached through the bars, took the bag right out of the driver's hand, and tore it open. He pulled open the box of chicken and started dropping them on the floor, one by one. He popped one into his mouth while looking right at me. Cafeteria's still open, sweetheart. You know the rules. No outside food during school. Another driver pulled up with another bag for the kid behind me. The principal didn't even open it. He just stomped on it. Burger sauce sprayed across the concrete. The kid stared at the wet stain and didn't say anything. Kids drifted to the cafeteria windows, faces pressed against the glass, all watching to see what would happen next. I pulled my phone out and ordered again, right in front of him. He saw it. 2 weeks detention for anyone caught ordering today. Bro, I'm a woman who's hungry. If I don't eat soon, all hell will break loose. I tapped confirm on my order. Behind him, drivers kept showing up for other students. I have an Oreo cloud latte from Dunkin'. I have a cookie dough cookie from Crumble Cookies. He kept grabbing them and throwing them into the trash until the final driver came. What now? The driver looked down at his receipt. Principal Harley, I have a double quarter pounder with extra pickles and a large Coke. The cafeteria went silent. Then someone started laughing. Even the principal hates the cafeteria lunch and breaks the rule. I walked through the gate, took the bag from the driver, and took a bite out of the burger. I'll be confiscating this. Rules are rules, sir. He stormed off, and he hasn't returned to do his job since. The lunch lady dropped. My boyfriend told. I handed the hotel concierge a note that read, "My boyfriend is planning on killing me tonight. He's a cop." The concierge didn't even blink. "You two will be in room 414. Let me get you 2 sets of keys." He leaned forward. "We'll only need one." This man had put me in the hospital twice and fudged the police reports both times. He threatened to frame me for drug charges if I ever left him and got his partner to go along with his lies. The concierge ignored him, typed into her computer, then handed me a spa coupon and blocked his hand when he tried to grab it. "That's ladies only, sir." He grinded his teeth as I pocketed it. We reached the elevator. "I need to use the restroom." He grabbed my arm. "Use the one up in the room." I jerked free. I've been holding it in since we landed. I yanked my niece out of the pool and my sister yelled, "What is wrong with you? Let her play." And I said, "Nobody's watching this pool. She could drown and none of you would notice." But she grabbed her daughter back. She'd be screaming and splashing if she was drowning, so I'd hear her. No, a drowning kid can't scream. It's completely silent. But she just put her daughter back in the water and called me paranoid while she walked away. But when I looked at my niece, she was already at the deep end. Then her head tipped back and slipped under the water and she went quiet. I knew she was drowning, so I screamed to the adults in the deep end, "My niece is drowning. Somebody grab her." But they just looked confused, so I ran for the deep end. But then my sister stepped in front of me. "Stop this. You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. Let me through. She could die." I looked back at my niece and her body kept sinking straight down. So I lunged past my sister, but she blocked me again. "She's fine. She'd be screaming if she was really drowning." But my niece couldn't make a sound, and I finally had enough. I shoved my sister and dove into the water. I grabbed my niece from the bottom of the pool and pulled her up and out and laid her flat on the deck, but she was limp, and that's when my sister finally realized she was drowning. "Oh my God, she's not moving. Save her." I tilted her head back and gave her rescue breaths, but nothing happened. My sister dropped to her knees, sobbing, while the yard went silent. I breathed for her again. Nothing. Then she coughed up a mouthful of water and gasped, and everyone exhaled in relief. I held her while my sister crawled over with her hands shaking. She never made any noise. She never called out for help. That's what drowning really looks like. Then my niece looked at her mom. "Next time you should listen to Auntie." I yanked my niece out of the pool. I was opening a package I'd ordered online when I saw a note above it that said, "Call this number. Please help me," scrawled in what looked like dried blood. My hands started shaking. A stranger helped me once when I had no one, and I never forgot it. So I typed the number into my phone and texted it. My stomach dropped when a reply came through seconds later. They sent an address 10 minutes from my house and 3 more words. "Please, come now and save us." My gut told me this was a bad idea, but I drove straight to the address anyway. It led me to a windowless warehouse at the end of an empty road, and when I reached the entrance, a man met me with a wide smile. "Can I help you?" But behind him, I saw a room full of young women hunched over sewing machines, their hands raw and split, dirt smeared across their faces. One girl about my age met my eyes for half a second, then dropped them. "Are they okay, the workers?" I asked, and his smile stayed frozen. "They're fine. Ask her yourself." The girl didn't look up. "Everything's fine," she whispered, flinching as his eyes cut to her. I tried to step past him, but he shifted into the doorway, his smile gone. "Get off my property before you regret it." My heart slammed, but the note was still in my pocket, so before I turned to leave, I texted the number one last time. "I'm here. If you need help, cough. For a second, nothing. Then, from inside, a single cough. My eyes shot to the girl in the apron, coughing again, staring right at me. That was all I needed. I stepped back and called 911, giving them the address low and fast, my eyes never leaving her. But the man caught her looking. Get back to work, peasant. His face twisted as he grabbed her arm and dragged her further inside. My heart stopped because I just made it worse, so I yelled, "The police are already coming." He froze, and seconds later, sirens screamed around the corner. Officers flooded past me. "Ma'am, step back." They pulled her out as her legs buckled onto a stretcher, and I pushed to her side and shoved the note into her hand. "This might be the only reason any of you get out." She gripped it to her chest. "Most of us never get a note out. We just disappear." I was scanning groceries for a mom and her daughter, but when I read the total out loud, the mom's eyes filled with panic. "Oh my God, prices rose 20%? I nodded, and she opened her empty wallet and started sobbing right there at my register. Her little girl eyed a loaf of bread like she hadn't eaten in days, and the mom grabbed it. "I'm sorry, honey, we have to put it back." I was barely making rent myself, but something made me stop. "Do you have any food stamps?" I asked quietly. Her eyes lit up, and she dug them out of her pocket and handed them to me. They'd expired just yesterday, but I was going to take them anyway. Before I could scan them, my manager snatched them from my hand. "These are expired. We can't take these." He looked the mom up and down with disgust. "If you're broke, you shouldn't be shopping here." He threw them back at her and walked off. The little girl looked up at her mom. "We haven't eaten today. I'm so hungry." I couldn't let it go. The second he was gone, I scanned the stamps anyway, knocking the total down to $20, and I covered the rest myself. The mom grabbed my hands, thanking me over and over like I'd saved her life. But as they packed their groceries, I saw my manager watching me from the corner of the store. The second the family left, my manager stormed over. "Those stamps were expired. That's $200 of the store's money. Pay it back now or you're fired immediately." I opened my wallet. I only had $300 to my name, and rent was due tomorrow. Handing him that $200 meant losing my apartment, but I thought about that little girl crying and paid it anyway. But that sacrifice was the best thing I could have done, because a few weeks later, that same mom walked in with her little girl and set an envelope on my counter. "The day you helped us, we'd lost everything after my husband passed. My daughter and I hadn't eaten in 3 days, and you were the only one who treated us like we mattered." But his life insurance finally came through. Inside was $1,000. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness is the thing that saves a life. I was scanning groceries. My phone slipped and cracked on the grocery store tiles. But I picked it up frustrated, and a small...
Yo! Hey, yo, don't cuss! Hey, yo!
My phone slipped and cracked.
No.
I turned and saw a tiny boy in glasses grinning at me. The mother looked shocked, and I felt horrible. I went to apologize, but she lunged to hug me. My son is 10 and nonverbal. This is the first time he's ever spoken. "Thank you." I looked at the boy. His first word was "fuck." My phone slipped and cracked on the groceries. My husband barged in while I was about to give birth and instantly started putting cameras everywhere while his lawyer waited outside. I asked him what he was doing, but he just smiled, showing you actions have consequences. And just as I was about to respond, my daughter popped out mixed race while we were both white. How was this possible? I looked over to my bedside expecting him to be angry, but instead, he was literally popping confetti. "I knew you cheated. I knew it." He was like a kid in a candy store. I couldn't believe it. I truly had never cheated. The lawyer served me divorce papers, and they walked out, Norman yelling, "This was the best day of his life." I didn't understand. Why was he so happy? And how was this possible? I went home and started looking for anything to explain what just happened, but then I saw our marriage folder wasn't there. I checked the cameras and saw Norman took it. Why would he do that? I called him immediately, and he showed up with his lawyer. I demanded to see the folder, but he shook his head. I pulled up the footage and said, "Either hand it over or I report you and you explain to a judge why you're stealing your own marriage papers." Norman immediately gave me them. Inside, I saw a brand new clause I'd never seen, added just 3 weeks ago. It said if one of us ever cheated, we owed the other $3 million, aka my whole inheritance. I was horrified, and when I looked at the dotted line, I saw my own signature. I'd never signed this, but Norman was smirking. "See you in court. Being a cheater is expensive." I sat there losing my mind. I knew I never cheated, so I decided to get a paternity test. I prayed the baby was somehow Norman's, and this was a gene mutation, but the results came back, and the father was Norman's friend Tyrone. I freaked out. I'd never spoken to Tyrone alone, ever. I called him immediately and explained everything, but he just went completely silent and refused to answer. He hung up without a word. In the courtroom, Norman was already grinning like child support. My jaw dropped as I...
Okay, guys, let's watch the old ones. You don't worry about it.
The lunch lady dropped...
Okay. Bye bye, guys.